wants to tell you the truth. Not because it is unknown, but because it is too uncomfortable to say out loud, because beneath the surface of our relationships, declarations, and even romantic gestures lies something much darker and more primal, the unconscious, not your mind, not her words, but forces you don't understand that govern desire. Maybe you're one of those men who gives everything: love, attention, loyalty, and in return, you get silence, distance, or the line, "You're wonderful, but it's just not it." It's not your fault, but it's not her choice either. It's the result of invisible rules. And today, you'll learn 4 of them, perhaps for the first time. These are not TikTok tips. These are not coaching tricks. This is a brutal philosophical psychological analysis. Inspirations from Nietzsche, Freud, Sartre, and contemporary psychoanalysis. If you stick with it until the end, you will never look at desire the same way. Rule 1. Desire doesn't follow morality. It follows tension. Most men think that a woman desires what she says, but words are just the surface. As Lacan wrote, desire is not what we want, but what disturbs us. When you try to be perfect, you are understandable, clear, safe, and because of that, predictable. And predictability kills tension. And without tension, there is no desire. Does that mean that a woman doesn't want good things? No, but she desires what creates emotional resonance, what makes her unsure. Uncertainty is the most sexual emotion the unconscious knows, not because she wants to be hurt, but because she wants to be moved. And you, instead of moving her, try to please her. Rule 2. The female mind says one thing, the body desires another. Maybe you're nice, empathetic, supportive, but in all that effort, you unconsciously castrate your own power. And the female body doesn't respond to compromise. It responds to contrast. Nietzsche wrote, "Great things are born from conflict." And it is this conflict, between your strength and her tension, that creates space for desire. It's not declarations that create attraction. It's dissonance. That's why she can preach equality, and at the same time fantasize about domination. She can speak about the need for tenderness, but obsessively think about someone who denies her tenderness. It's not hypocrisy, it's the duality of desire. And you won't understand her until you realize that words and impulses belong to 2 completely different spheres. Rule 3. Desire is irrational, and that's why it's so strong. Have you ever wondered why women dream of strong, sometimes aggressive archetypes? Mafia, bosses, gods, rebels, even villains. It's not culture that imposes this. It's culture that tries to suppress it. But desire doesn't know democracy, or ethics, or logic. Jean-Paul Sartre wrote that man is condemned to freedom, but desire is not free. It's determined by what is unconscious, bodily, dark. A woman may want stability, but her body craves adrenaline. It's not about pain or violence. It's about intensity, that moment when her heart starts to race. A man who only gives security doesn't give life. He gives sleep, peace, but not fire. Rule 4. Abundance kills desire. Inaccessibility creates it. In the age of 24/7 messages, availability, explanations, and being in touch, the greatest aphrodisiac is disappearance. Not literal, energetic. When you're constantly present, emotionally naked, available at the drop of a hat, you don't create tension, you create predictability. And with that comes indifference. You know the phrase, "He was too good, too available." It's not a cliché. It's the result of a deep psychological law. We are attracted to what can slip away. Freud said, desire exists only where there is a lack. And you, by trying to fill every gap, make there nothing left to be gained. Lack is not a problem. Lack is the condition of the game. It's not about pretending to be someone else. It's about stopping to lock yourself into roles that don't create tension. Good, available, transparent, these are adjectives for a friend. But desire doesn't want a friend. It wants fire, risk, and strength. The philosophy of desire cannot fit in words. It lives in glances, tension, silence, and the courage not to be completely tamed. If you made it to the end and something resonated within you, write the word paradox in the comment, because desire is exactly that, a paradox that no one wants to understand but everyone feels. Rule 5. A woman desires what transcends her, not what she understands. This is the hardest truth, and the most dangerous, because in a world that glorifies rationality, planning and balance, true desire is wild, inexplicable, and sacrilegious. A woman doesn't desire a man who understands her. She desires the one she can't fully understand. Why? Because understanding gives control, and desire demands the loss of control. Deep down, a woman isn't looking for a mirror, she's looking for transgression, something that will pull her beyond known boundaries, something that will allow her to surpass herself. As George Abate wrote, eroticism is not the closeness of body, it is the closeness to the boundary of death, decay and oblivion. Desire is not logical, it is mystical. That's why the most attractive men are those who are more than just a social role, a status, or a strategy. They are chaos in balance. They are like a dark star, attracting not by what they offer, but by what cannot fully be grasped. Where philosophy fails, the body speaks the truth. There is something that no psychology textbook, no relationship book, no expert will tell you. It's that all narratives try to tame what is primal, to make desire something pure, ethical, and under control. But as Kierkegaard noted, the greatest mistake of man is trying to rationalize what is not logical but existential. Desire does not come from the head, not from ideals. It comes from the same depth, where death, ecstasy, and the fear of infinity are born. Every woman and every man has within them this part that does not want harmony, the part that wants to be swept away, broken, melted, and reborn in a different state. It is neither good nor bad, it is simply true. Why do you lose when you just want to be good? If everything you do is based on fulfilling needs, on predictably being present, on seeking security, you will be read as a caring brother, not as a source of desire. Because just as a woman deep down desires a force that transcends her, so too must a man transcend himself to become something more than a caretaker. It doesn't mean being brutal. It means being present in your darkness, not avoiding conflict, not being afraid to retreat, not being afraid to not explain. It means not being afraid to be someone who doesn't seek approval, but leads. In a world where everyone wants to be understood, be the one who cannot be easily categorized, the truth you can't erase. Understand this well. It's not about manipulation, it's not about games. It's about restoring the primal truth that desire is not a social arrangement, but an impulse of existence. When a woman loses her breath, not because you made her soft, but because you transcended her, that's when desire was born. When you don't try to win her over, but you are in your own element, without submission, without constant words, without defensiveness, you create a space in which the world she knew can collapse. And maybe, only then will she feel something she's never felt before, a call to the depths. This is not a film about seduction. This is not a guide. This is a confrontation with a reality that cannot be learned, only felt. If you've made it to this part and feel unease, rebellion, maybe even anger, that's good, because it means something within you has awakened. Not a script, not a role, but a question that could change your life. Are you ready to be the one who cannot be tamed? If so, write in the comments. I am the paradox, not to boast, but to remember that only those who can live in contradiction can truly be desired. Masculinity as a myth, not a function. In the past, a man wasn't a good guy. He was an archetype, a warrior, a discoverer, a king, or a hermit. He wasn't meant to be comfortable. He was meant to be powerful and dangerous in the name of something greater than himself. Carl Jung said that a woman doesn't love a man as a person, but as a symbol of strength, sovereignty, leadership. When you abandon this role and become just helpful, you lose that symbolic value. It's not about violence, it's not about domination, it's about energy that transcends the ordinary. Energy that makes a woman feel like she's in a story, not in a predictable everyday life. Too many men want to be good instead of multidimensional. But a woman doesn't desire goodness. She desires transcendence, something that surprises her, challenges her, transcends her, and restores her access to herself. Desire and the myth. Why does a woman dream of a god, not a neighbor? Notice that a woman's imagination rarely stops at what is familiar. She doesn't fantasize about an office worker or an equal partner sharing bills. She fantasizes about something greater, more dangerous, often forbidden. From the Greek Zeus, who abducted Europa, to Hades, who took Persephone, female desire has always revolved around power, unpredictability, boundary crossing. Why? Because where a man comes with love, a woman often asks, "Can you take me away?" Not literally, but emotionally, spiritually. Can you make me forget everything I know? This is not a fairy tale. This is the archetypal structure of female desire, written in myths, symbols, even childhood fairy tales. Don't believe. Look at what women secretly consume: romances about rulers, stories about bad boys, dominant lovers, caretaker mystics. This is not a coincidence. It's the repression of a truth that no one wants to accept, that desire knows no political correctness. The modern crisis of desire. Everything, but nothing. Today we have everything. Sexual freedom, equality, communication. And yet, people have never been so lonely in bed. Why? Because comfort has killed tension. Honesty has killed mystery. Safety has killed uncertainty, without which desire doesn't exist. Men have learned to be correct, polite, balanced, and women have learned to say what they want, but no longer know what they feel. Freud predicted this over 100 years ago. When everything becomes allowed and open, what truly excites becomes unconscious, hidden, and forbidden. Today a woman can have anyone, but she feels nothing for anyone, because there is no tension in it, no unknown, no man she can't tame. And that's why they return to those who are less available, more wild, less polite, because only there does the body react. The man as a threshold, not a servant. What society doesn't tell you is that a woman doesn't want to be led by the hand all the time. Sometimes she wants to hit the wall of your boundary. She wants to check if you stand firm, if you have a center, if you are stable when she's spinning emotionally. If you don't have this structure, you are not a man to her. You are a shadow, an assistant, a boy trying to please. But a man is the threshold of reality, not the one who kneels, but the one who stands and looks straight into her eyes, not to dominate her, but to remind her of herself when she gets lost within herself. What does a woman really desire? Not you, not your love, not your attention. A woman deep down, beyond the social, cultural, linguistic layers, desires the abyss. She desires a gaze in which she feels small but free, a gesture that doesn't seek approval, silence that doesn't beg for understanding. A woman desires a man who does not belong to her, but with whom she stops belonging to herself. Does she understand this? No. Does she consciously choose this? No. But desire was never logical, and that's why if you want to be truly desired, stop being understood, stop being nice, stop being for her, be for yourself. And she, if there's still a trace of primal femininity within her, will come. Silent Manifesto. This was a film about truths no one speaks. Not because they are false, but because they are too dangerous to accept. If you feel something has awakened in you, say nothing. Just write in the comments, "I am not tamed," because only the one who cannot be tamed can awaken a desire that cannot be named. Desire is the language of lack. What most people don't understand is that desire is not a movement toward presence. Desire is a movement toward lack. We want what we don't have. We long for what exceeds us and what can destroy us. It is not love that creates the tension between a woman and a man. It is the tension between what is possible and what is forbidden. Slavoj Žižek once wrote that the sexiest part of the body is the empty space between two bodies, before they come together. It's not closeness that creates tension. It's the distance that provokes the imagination. And that's why when you become too close, too available, too straightforward, desire dies, because the lack disappears. And without lack there's no striving, no mystery, no current. Jung, The Shadow and Female Desire. Carl Jung said that every person has a shadow, a part of the personality they don't want to know. In women, the shadow often takes the form of the animus, the male principle in the female psyche, and it's not a nice, equal partner. It's often a wild warrior, an unpredictable lover, a god, or a demon. That's why a woman may dream of something she fears. She may long for what exceeds her, wounds her, destabilizes her, because that's what her inner shadow contains. When a woman chooses the nice boy, she's often choosing safety. But when she dreams of someone she fears, it means her shadow is speaking, and it's with that part of the woman you must speak if you want her to feel desire, not with her reason, not with her declaration, but with what she hides beneath her skin and beneath the social masks. Desire ain't got the metaphysics of the body. Perhaps the hardest truth to accept is this: desire is a form of spiritual shock. That's why religions have always tried to tame it, control it, regulate it, because a body that desires doesn't ask for morality. A body that desires is like a temple without a priest. But that's why mystics, from Saint John of the Cross to the Sufi Rumi, often described contact with God in the language of ecstasy, desire and longing, because the soul, like a woman, does not desire peace. She desires ecstasy, dissolution, loss of form. In this sense, true desire is more than physical tension. It is the voice of the soul that wants to leave itself and be consumed. Why a woman runs from what she desires, and why you can't chase it. It's painful, but true. The more you chase after a woman, the more you try to be what she says she wants, the more you stop being what she really needs. That's why the most powerful move you can make as a man is to turn toward your own mission. To stop, to be silent, to not satisfy her, to not explain yourself, not to punish her, but to not betray yourself. Because only the man who can't follow can be the point of reference for her inner chaos. The voice that won't stop calling in a world where everyone wants to be liked, chosen, praised. You must choose something else. You must choose the truth that is not comfortable. You must be the one who was not raised to obedience, but to inner strength. A woman is not looking for a trophy. She is looking for the fire that will melt her and transform her. Don't ask what she wants. Be the fire, and she, if she is still alive, will find you, because she will be drawn to you like night to lightning. You are not here to be accepted. You are here to remind the world what true desire is. A woman tests a man not to reject him, but to have something to believe in. Most men think that a woman who tests him is trying to humiliate him. But the truth is different. She is testing whether he is something that can withstand her chaos. The test is not an attack. It is a ritual. An ancient mechanism where a woman tries to break your order to see if you fall apart. If you defend yourself, you are weak. If you make excuses, you are not ready. If you get offended, you are not a man. But if you remain unmoved, if your gaze doesn't tremble and your word doesn't turn into a plea, then she starts to trust. Not your words, not your ethics, but your presence as a rock. She wants to know that you are what survives her emotional hurricane. Because if you can't do that, you are not a partner. You are a passenger. The mythological woman and the man as the initiated warrior. In every mythology, the woman is a testing being. In Greek mythology, she was the Sphinx, asking riddles. In Egypt, Isis, who only restores the dismembered Osiris to life when he can find himself. In Jungian psychology, the Great Mother, who gives but also devours if you are not conscious. Always the same logic. A woman cannot be conquered. A woman checks if you are worth being chosen. It's not a game. It's an archetypal trial. And if you don't understand her symbolic function, you will react like a boy. You will get offended. You will withdraw. You will start complaining that women are cruel. No, they are the guardians of the threshold. And you must become someone who crosses that threshold not through strength but through depth. The modern woman, free but lost. Today a woman can have everything: an education, money, casual sex, public voices and declarations. But does it fulfill her? The question is, why does a woman who has everything often feel emptiness? Because although she fought for independence, she lost the tension. There are no more men that cannot be had. There are no more challenges. There is no longer a narrative where she loses to her own heart. And that's why she returns to those who don't listen to her but read her. To those who don't ask what she feels but know when to remain silent and not stop looking. The modern woman is free. But desire does not want freedom. Desire wants fire. It wants to be thrown off balance because only then does it feel truly alive. Desire as a mystical force, the awakening of existence. Finally, you must know one thing. Desire is not just erotic. Desire is the divine impulse of life. The fact that a woman desires a man not because she loves him, but because with him her body starts to tremble and her soul expands, is not a coincidence. It is a call to a life more intense than the ordinary. It is the echo of something we all forgot, that we are here not to stabilize, but to burn, to fall apart, and to awaken a new person within ourselves. A real man does not give a woman a sense of security. He gives her a moment when the world stops, and that's enough.